Welcome to the Mayor's Forum. Today, my guest is June Sheridan, who is the founder of the Greate Egg Harbor Township Historical Society. June, it's been a while since we met. Would you tell our audience today some of the new events that the Historical Society is doing?
Well, right now we're in the process of expanding because of the great response of the residents of Egg Harbor Township in donating articles to us and documents, and so we have outgrown our original building, and we're expanding to a little house in the back so that we can enjoy more of the things that have been donated.
And some of the events that are coming up?
Well, we do a lot of event planning and a lot of programming. The events that are coming up are in November, the 17th, we're having a speaker from Wheaton Village is going to talk about the glass industry in South Jersey and how it started and grew. And in December, we'll have our annual Christmas tree lighting with Santa Claus and lots of cookies and hot chocolate for the children. And so usually the Cygnus dancers are there, and we have usually a band. So it's a great event for the family.
You know what, mommies and dads that are out there listening, you're always looking for some place to go and see Santa and celebrate Christmas.
Right.
Couldn't ask for a nicer menu than what you have.
That's right. Santa, takes the children on his lap and talks about what they want for Christmas and so forth. So it's quite a nice family event.
What are some of the other programs that are coming up, June?
Well, we did the glass making. We're also, like I say, doing that. And every year we have our very large event, Call of Duty, in July. We'll be doing that again this year. Our program director, Dan Lawless, has already set up all the programming for this coming year, and we advertise usually starting in March. We don't have programming in January or February, usually weather-related problems. And so in March we usually do our Irish program, and so we're looking.
The library and the museum.
Pardon?
The library and the museum.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about how the residents could interact with that.
Well, the wonderful thing is we've had great response from the community. We do collect things to preserve the history of Egg Harbor Township. That's our main mission. And so we collect documents, deeds, books, even clothing, quilts, and so forth, and we use them as display in the museum. We use the documents and books and family histories for people that can come in and do research on their families or history of Egg Harbor Township. And our records go back as far as 1749 or 94 for Egg Harbor Township, and we have the complete history of the growth and how important Egg Harbor Township was to South Jersey as it grew.
First of all, let me ask you a question. Why the name Greate Egg Harbor?
Okay, it's great because with the E on the end, because and the U in Harbor, because that's the way in early documents Egg Harbor Township appeared. And actually at that point in time, Greate Egg Harbor encompassed all of what is now Atlantic County, although we were part of Gloucester County at that time. And then, so Egg Harbor Township reached almost to Deptford, right, and to the ocean. Atlantic County broke away in 1837 when they wanted to do their own government. So,
well, let me ask you a question. A lot of people say, how did you get the name Greate, Egg Harbor Township? And what I say, and you can correct me if I'm right or wrong,
right.
When the Dutch sailors traveled from Europe and they came in the inlet between what is now Ocean City and Longport, which at that time was part of our town,
right,
they saw all these goose eggs, seagull eggs, all kinds of bird eggs all over, and just like in the old days, names to portions of a geographic area came from what people saw.
Right.
And so they called it the Great Egg Inlet,
yeah.
and then it became Great Egg
Yeah.
Harbour Township. Is that correct?
That's right on. Cornelius Jacobsen May was a Dutch explorer, and at that point in time, we were still exploring to try to find a way to China, and they were exploring all the rivers and inlets as they bumped into our country, and couldn't eventually get through. But it was the eggs in the inlet that gave it the name, and it was called Haven, which is Dutch.
Dutch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a Dutch name of Egg
Yeah,
Harbor.
for harbor
Yeah.
with eggs.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
It
absolutely.
is. I mean, it's interesting. People have traveled and come from all over the world to work in the casino industry and then at the FAA and so forth here. And, you know, they always the questions. I'll never forget one day, I'm sitting at a football game just off Ocean Heights Avenue, and a woman sitting next to me, she lived in Northfield Estates.
Okay.
But Northfield Estates is not
No.
Northfield.
No, it isn't.
And her mailing address was Linwood,
Right?
and it was also called the Bargaintown section
That's right.
of Egg Harbor Township. She's sitting there one day and she says to me, "Mayor," and she came from Minnesota, this woman.
Right.
She says, "I'm not sure where I live." She says, my address is Northfield Estates, Linwood, New Jersey, Egg Harbor Township, Bargaintown. Where do I live?" And I try to explain to her
Yeah.
how, you know, all these different names came about. I mean, McKee City was named after Colonel McKee.
Right.
West Atlantic City is named after the fact that it's in between Pleasantville and
Yeah, it's west of Atlantic
west
City.
of Atlantic City.
Yeah.
So it's such a unusual town.
It is. And we're losing the names of these communities.
I know.
And
Skullville.
yeah, Steelmanville, English Creek were basically named after the early settlers. But now if you ask somebody where they live, they usually say the name of the development that they live in.
Yeah.
And most of them obviously know they live in Egg Harbor Township, but we hate to lose the little community names. That,
Yeah. Well, people would say to me, "Skullville?"
Yeah. Not
What is
spelled
that?
with a K.
Huh?
Not spelled with a
When
K.
they hear Skullville,
Yeah.
they think of maybe a haunted area
Yeah,
or something
right.
like that.
Right.
When in fact the Skull family
Settled.
settled in that area, and therefore
Right, right. And
So it really is it is interesting. Well, we're going to have to take a short break for community events, and when we come back, we're going to continue this conversation with June. If you like history, June really knows the history of Egg Harbor Township, founded in 1710, and as she said, Egg Harbor Township was all of Atlantic County, including Atlantic City, which was the first town to break off in 1854. And we'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Mayor's Forum. June Sheridan is my guest today. She is the founder and chairwoman of the Great Egg Harbor Township Historical Society. So when we left, June, we were talking about some of the really old history of Egg Harbor Township. Can you explain to our audience actually how the Historical Society was founded and how it began?
It was rather unique. It was when Egg Harbor Township Municipal Hall was expanding, and we were still, the government was still based in the old wooden schoolhouse that was on the grounds. The new addition was complete, and it was time to demolish the old wooden schoolhouse building. And at the time, John Heinz was mayor, and they had the...
That'd be like 1982.
Must be around
Yeah.
then, yeah. And they have brought heavy equipment in to knock the building down, and as the bulldozer hit the edge of the building, a false ceiling fell down in the clerk's office. And out of the ceiling came all the early records of Egg Harbor Township from 1794, early 1700s, and up to, like the 1900s. And John, being interested in history like you, realized that these needed to be preserved. And he gathered together a group of us that he knew was interested in history, and we went down and gathered them and to preserve them. And today we have those getting preserved through a conservation business. But at that time was when Egg Harbor Township Historical was formed. To preserve the records and preserve the history of Egg Harbor Township. And 1987 was the beginning of that. And
What was it, 1987?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And we had no home, but we met in each other's homes until, we had a place to meet, and eventually we wound up, through the courtesy and graciousness of Egg Harbor Township, to have our now museum and library on West Jersey Avenue as a permanent home, hopefully.
What happens to the important documents that people contribute, donate to the library and the museum?
Well, what we do, we have a way of archivally preserving documents. We have archival boxes that documents and clothing and so forth is stored in. We have sleeve, non-acidic sleeves and so forth that items are put in. So everything is preserved in that manner. However, our new project is making sure that these early records of Egg Harbor Township go to a conservation group that takes the acid out of the paper and preserves the documents so that they will not deteriorate in the future. Even though most of the early paper was non-acidic and so forth, they actually have lasted longer than present day paper.
Huh,
yeah.
how about that?
Yeah.
So is that what you call the storage?
Yes.
I gotcha.
Archival storage.
Right. And how's the actual? How do you inventory and catalog?
We have a program that was developed by the University of Hawaii for preservation of records in a computer program called Past Perfect. And that tells you, describes the item. It when something first comes in, we do it hard copy, so in case the computer ever goes down, we do have a hard copy of every donation, the person's name and what they donated. That goes into the Past Perfect program, and the Past Perfect program also shows the location of the item, its age, its description, and so forth. Before then it's filed in a category, whether it's in clothing, whether it's in documents. We collect a lot of photographs of early Egg Harbor Township, and most of them now are entered into the Past Perfect program, and when people come in, we have a way of locating information for them. And
This is all on computers?
yes, yes it is.
Okay.
Yeah, and so, this program is fantastic, specifically for museums and for libraries. And we've been doing that since, we basically moved to West Jersey Avenue. So we've been there in November 10 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's really wonderful. Hey, June, I know that you helped the township out lately with a grant application. Can you tell us about that grant and how you put it together?
Well, that's what I was speaking about a little bit before. Matt Vanderhaven saw that there was a grant available through the county, which is a pass-through grant from the New Jersey Historical Commission, where you can apply for funds for documenting things. And so Matt did basically the information, and we discussed what we needed to do and applied for this grant, and hopefully it will come through. It's up to possibly $3,000. And the preservation that we need to fund for the restoration of the very first minutes of Egg Harbor Township that we have would go then to the conservation business in Philadelphia, and it would be completely preserved. It's a very expensive process, and they're due preservation for many huge museums in Philadelphia and so forth. So it would be great to have that and possibly return the book back to the Egg Harbor Township Hall where it could be stored in the vault and available.
Oh, very nice. Matt has recently joined Egg Harbor Township. He's our assistant administrator.
Yes.
And he came from Ocean City, and he was doing a lot of grant work over there. And we are very fortunate and happy to have him with us. And obviously, you got to be happy because you got somebody helping you out with grants.
Wonderful.
I know our police department is really appreciative of Matt's expertise in finding these important grants, because not only are they helpful to the township to operate, but it really saves the township
Funding.
Taxpayers quite a bit of money. So
Right.
we're very pleased to have Matt. Donations are a big part of the Historical Society, how it operates, how it provides services to the township. You want to tell us about some of the donations and what they've done and how it's been completed and helped?
Well, the community support donation-wise is incredible. We've had businesses in Egg Harbor Township that has, supplied us free things that have made it possible for us to expand. Lowe's in Egg Harbor Township, just mentioning one, has donated and installed carpeting, done carpentry work for us, donated a kitchen.
Really?
For the small house that we're renovating.
At no charge?
No charge.
Wow.
And I saw to it, obviously, that they got a plaque, and also I wrote to corporate headquarters honoring.
Oh, very nice.
So that's just one of many. We have a neighbor, Hellfighters, that has done all our tree trimming, lighting for the Christmas tree, and so forth. We had a gentleman one time stop that had a painting company and saw that we were having a cleanup there and offered and did paint the trim on our museum.
You recall who that might be?
I think it was called Color My World.
Oh, okay, good.
I don't even know if they're still, available or in business. But, I mean, it just goes on and on. To mention a few, there's been so many donations for the museum itself and for helping us. Eagle Academy has done the renovation work to create the museum and library. They have worked on putting a new deck on a little house that we're renovating in the back. Scouts have donated time to get their Eagle Academy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Eagle.
That's really good.
And also the Catawba project has done so much for us with
the school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, incredible. So we've been very lucky and blessed that the community support that we get from individuals and businesses and the school system. And the township.
Yeah, okay. You have a lot of people involved. You wouldn't
Yeah.
wouldn't think so, but you do.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of people that, aren't on our board or, aren't our members. They're just people that care enough to do something for Egg Harbor Township.
I think most people care about history.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. I mean, I absolutely love history.
I know you do.
If there's something, if I'm watching TV, I'm on the History Channel or the Hero Channel or someplace where they got documentaries, goes back to Europe, or just our country. I just
Right.
really enjoy history, and this town is historic.
Very.
It's very historic. I mean, the Indians lived here first, and then the settlers came, and then it was a huge boat building. Huge boat building.
Thousands of boats
Yeah.
were built in this area, schooners, sloops.
Yep.
And that's another type of maritime history that, we're very involved with too. And it is an interesting study.
It is. It's fascinating. We participated in different wars in the early years,
Right?
with our settlers that brought sailboats out, and it's really remarkable. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate everybody that really helps you maintain the history of our town. What is available online?
Online, we do have a website, and also Facebook page, which keeps people kind of informed of what we're basically doing. As far as putting any of our documents or online, we don't, but we do cover most of our events. Linwood does a lot of our videotaping, and like Call of Duty, you might see
Oh, yeah.
that whole program online, and events that are coming up and so forth. So you can keep posted as to what we're doing that way, and we try to keep it covered in media and newspapers and so forth and so on. Well,
If someone wanted to become a member of the Historical Society or donate to the how would they go about doing that?
they can come to the building. We're open Saturdays and Sundays from 1 to 3, although at the moment Saturdays have not been scheduled because I took a little vacation this summer. And so we're scheduling new volunteers so that I don't have to be there every Saturday and Sunday. And it will be open from 1 to 3 on those dates. You can call the museum or you can get in touch on our website.
Do you have the phone number for the museum?
It is 813-2002.
Right. So if you want to become a volunteer or you want to
Donate.
donate, if you have some artifacts or something that you think that would be interesting, reach out to us. I mean, it's really something that we enjoy, and we think it's important to pass on to future generations, and that's what history is so important about.
Correct. We appreciate all donations, and we truly take care of anything that's donated. Now, longest serving mayor of Egg Harbor Township, grew up West Atlantic City. Let's hear a little about growing up in West Atlantic City and some of your fondest memories of being mayor, or anything that you find interesting.
Well, this program's probably supposed to be about other people, but I was born in West Atlantic City. My mother resided in West Atlantic City with her parents. She went to Pleasantville High School. I believe you went to Pleasantville High School.
Correct.
I think my mother was older than you. I know she was older than you. That was when. That's when we didn't have an EHT high school.
No.
We didn't have it. There was no Oakcrest. There was no Mainland. There was no Absegami.
No.
The only high schools at the time were Holy Spirit, Atlantic City High School in Ocean City, and there might have been one up in Egg Harbor City someplace.
Might have been. I don't
Yeah.
remember that one. But
So if you lived in Egg Harbor Township, which was rather rural at the area, except for West Atlantic City portion, you went to Pleasantville High School. Now, when I went to high school, we actually moved from West Atlantic City to Atlantic City, lived with my Irish grandmother for a while, And then we moved to my mother's house in Margate, and I basically spent most of my youth in Margate.
Okay.
And I attended Atlantic City High School. Now, the Egg Harbor Township kids at the time, like I say, there was no mainland, no Absegami, no Oakcrest. Herbie Niewinder, you remember Herb?
Oh, absolutely.
Herbie Niewinder and I graduated high school together. He's deceased now. But they came in buses.
Yes.
Everybody else that went there, Brigantine, Margate, Venter, Longport, we either took the trolley, you know, or walked or whatever to get there. But the kids from Egg Harbor Township, they came in on buses, and we used
Long bus ride.
Yeah, and we used to kid them. We used to call them the yellow bus kids.
Yep.
So then I obviously graduated and went on to college and so forth. And then in 1985, there was an election, and believe it or not, I did not seek that election. My name was written in against the current sitting mayor at the time, and I won the election in the write-in. So there was a group of people in the club. They were really pushing me, and they wanted me to run, and they were out campaigning for me. So the night before the election, I said, I guess I ought to at least ask my wife to vote for me. So I said, it was a primary.
Yeah.
No, so it was the night before election, and I asked Georgine, I said, you know, I guess I should ask you to vote for me. She goes, I can't vote for you, I'm a Democrat. And she couldn't, because it was a primary.
A primary,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. She has since changed to be a Republican, and I'm telling you, she's a hard-nosed Republican, like my wife's politics. She loves the federal politics.
I think it's wonderful that politicians and people in political positions have the ability to choose people around them who are
Qualified.
capable of doing the job and
absolutely.
qualified. And at that point, politics really doesn't enter into your decision making.
Well, I can tell you, we have a terrific administrator, Peter Miller, very, very bright. I think he's the best in
Wonderful.
the state. I really do. So when there's an opening in a department, we take applications, and we permit the department head to decide which candidate is going to be best for their office.
Right.
If you just put a political person into something like that, you might not be getting the best person. You might be getting some political hack
Right.
that really don't care. But if you allow the department head, and then what happens is that the department head will meet with Peter Miller, and you give him an opportunity.
Right.
And then sometimes, you know, depending on what the position is, and mostly if it's not, unless it's a very high position, the township committee doesn't even get involved in it.
Right.
They make their recommendation, and obviously we appoint.
True, yeah.
But you know, we're very careful to make sure, and I think that's what makes Egg Harbor Township such a great town. June, thank you so much for being here. It's always interesting. I hope you come back again soon, and tell everybody that's involved with the Historical Society, we really care for them. We think that you're doing a great job. And to the general public, if there's something that you would like to see, or individuals who you think would be interesting to be interviewed on the Mayor's Forum, we certainly would appreciate letting us know. You can call us at 926-4044 and talk to Matt and let him know what you'd like to see. So thanks for being here. June, thank you for being here always.
Always.
And we'll see you next time.